Welcome to another episode of the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. I'm your host, Steve Casillo. And as we do every Friday, we bring in our financial philosopher. That would be Phillip Washington Jr. And we are continuing our series on mind over matter, rewiring your financial attitude. This is episode 5 of our series. We're going to tackle statements or excuses that people may have when it comes to the roadblocks they have in their finances. Oh, you know what? Before we get into this, just something a little light. Do you know what today is?
What's today?
Aside from Friday, September 15th, today is Double Cheeseburger Day.
I have not had a double cheeseburger since I was like in my 20s.
Probably you and me both. And that makes it a little longer for me than you. But no, I do prefer just a regular single patty. But today's Double Cheeseburger Day. And if you want to give a shout out, do you have a favorite place that you go for a burger?
I'll do this. It's not my favorite, but I've recently converted from Whataburger to In-N-Out because I don't know what happened when Whataburger got bought by private equity. They're like, it takes forever to get a burger. In-N-Out, you're like In-N-Out, and it's actually a decent burger. So I'm a Texan, so I'm speaking blasphemy right now.
We're going to get emails.
Yeah, we are going to get emails.
But In-N-Out, that's what a hamburger is all about. So let's get into some of these statements and let's address them. So the first one, I don't want to sacrifice my lifestyle, an excuse of why someone doesn't want to change their financial attitude. I don't want to sacrifice my current lifestyle.
Yeah, and that actually is an excuse. I think it's just a misunderstanding of what's required to upgrade your mindset. So because there's so many books written on this is how you do this and this is how you do that and here's the path to $1 million or blah blah blah. You got all these experts and I've been guilty of it in the past because I grew up in the industry. So I'm not knocking the experts per se, but I've evolved my understanding to understand that, hey, everybody has their own path. And as a financial talking head, like I just want to help inspire people to their own path. Right. And so I feel like the thought process behind sacrificing your current lifestyle comes from the personal finance mindset of, you gotta sacrifice, 20% of your income or 30% of your income to do this and do that. And I'm like, no, there's nothing that you have to do to get to where you want to go, other than like change your mindset and then follow the path that feels easiest for you, that feels best for you. Because I know plenty of people that never sacrifice their lifestyle and continue to increase their income and lifestyle over time. Like, matter of fact, that's almost the, what I'm trying to say, more the rule, right, than anything. And it depends on how you cut it. Because like one of the things I've never had a salary my whole time. Yeah, I've had different businesses, and one of the things that was a requirement for my lovely partner, Sweetness, to do it is she said, "Listen, I don't care whatever you do, as long as like the mortgage is always paid." Meaning like don't majorly change our lifestyle. And I was like, cool. Like, and I did whatever was required to maintain our lifestyle, and it's crept up little by little over time. Does that mean that we, didn't have to, cut easy things?
Yeah. Sometimes you do have to scrimp. And this goes back to, I think we talked about it last week or maybe a couple of weeks ago, that a side hustle is not a bad thing.
Not at all. And
that if you, all right, and even if that side hustle becomes your investment, that, all right, so I only make enough money at my 8 to 5 job to pay my bills. So, all right, go get a side hustle and take that money and sock it away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Am I preaching to the choir?
Well, yeah. But I think we're talking to the people, right?
Oh, yeah. All right. So the next one, I've tried before and I have failed, so there's no point in trying again.
Yeah. So the reason why I actually like this one is because, like, I personally feel it's okay to not try when you don't feel like it. So for a while, in business, I would try to do. I was working on doing live events, right? So like my history was, in college, we threw step shows. Like we brought a step show to San Antonio, which is not a culture. It's not a very heavily African American culture in San Antonio, and so there hadn't been a step show. And so our team, I was the president. I was the leader of the team, but we had a team of capable people. But we threw a step show, packed it out with 1,000 people. Well, not packed it out, but we had 1,000 people at a step show. And it was an amazing feat that we did in our early 20s. And so fast forward, building Stone Hill, I did a couple of events, did a podcast, and had a decent result. But then I ran into a few hiccups that hurt my heart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it was a period where I was just like, I'm not doing events, right? And so I just didn't do events because that just in that moment wasn't my path, because it just didn't feel, and I had to heal that wound. So now, and we've recently had conversations lately where that itch is back and my confidence is back.
Yeah.
And so like we're about to go back at some events and for the podcast, these are going to be bigger and better than the other, because all the missing components that I didn't have in my head before fell all into place without effort. But they were always there. It just was more like my confidence was crushed from disappointment. And so I just needed to leave it alone, right? So had I continued to work through that frustration, it would have been counterproductive, most likely. And I wouldn't have had the other success that I had going down easier paths to grow the business and the podcast that didn't involve events.
It's like if you fall off the horse, you get back on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you get in a car crash, you're not gonna stop driving just because you got in an accident.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes it's okay to like not get on the horse for a while, because if you get on the horse scared, it's going to do more damage when you fall again.
That's true. Next one. Oh, this one's right up your alley. I don't trust financial institutions or advisors.
Yeah. I was saying on my podcast, I don't either, right? And
That's true.
Yeah, I don't. But I don't think you have to if there's two ways that you can reach goals. There are goals that are dependent on conditions being the way you need them to be. So you need to have the smartest advisor. You need to have the best institution in order for you to be successful. But that places conditions outside of that places power outside of yourself, right? But that would be the equivalent of if our solar system, if the sun said, all right, planets, I need y'all to orbit me perfectly for this stuff to work. Like that just wouldn't work. There would be no life. The sun says, I don't need you guys to do anything. Just like I'll handle everything, right? And the sun keeps everything in orbit, for the planets. And so in that aspect, I'm saying if you don't trust institutions, then and advisors, then you're gonna get what you expect. But if you have inner faith and then you infuse faith into everything and everyone around you, then everybody and everyone around you is gonna act according to that faith, and things will work out. So you don't don't need to the conditions to be perfect, right? Flow the faith inward and allow the conditions to work out in your favor the way they're supposed to.
Phillip, I'm not good with numbers, so managing money is impossible for me. Impossible. Yeah, I don't like that word.
Yeah. If you think something's impossible, then it's going to be impossible. Like things are going to be the way that you expect them to be. If I use a story of just me being, I'm gonna use a different story. That's really good. It's so like when I'm
I see you going through your mental Rolodex of stories.
I'm going through my mental Rolodex of stories. But I'll use the story. I'll reuse the story. It's like if you go out to whenever me and Kelly go out for dinner.
Yeah.
We always get great service, because we expect great service. And then we have friends, they go out and they always get terrible service, but they're pessimists,
Right.
you know? So they get what they expect and we get what we expect. And that's just the way things work out. And so if you expect to be not good with numbers and that managing money is going to be, you know, impossible, then that's what it's going to be, you know? So I like to, the reason why I'm such a feeling person is like the feeling is relatively easy to find. Like the details are what's hard, right? So like I'll use love. Love is something that we all feel and know. But like the expression of love, the details of how we apply love are infinite. So if you approach solving a problem trying to figure out the details, good luck. You know what I mean? Like I prefer to just like own the feeling and then allow the feeling to find the details that are right for me. So like meaning if you just feel what it feels to be good at managing money, right? Feel security, feel abundant, feel confidence around it, then like the details of how that applies to you are gonna like unfold for you. You may not need to be good with numbers. Matter of fact, you're probably gonna attract somebody on your team that's good with numbers, so you don't have to be good with numbers, you know. And that works out for you because you don't have to be good with numbers.
Would you say then a negative attitude produces negative results?
100%. Like it's just the energetic law of like physics and how the universe works.
Last one, Phillip. I'll never be able to retire, so why even try?
Don't try. Just don't try. Just live a terrible life. No.
And to me well, I don't know. That
go ahead.
Try. I mean, this goes back to the Nike slogan. Just do it.
Yeah, and I want to give a good answer to help because I understand the feeling of powerlessness. You know, I understand going, but I've tried everything that I know how to try and it's not worked out. And so there's a certain powerlessness in that statement, but I think it comes from trying to rely on intellect and details versus just saying, let me go for the feeling. Like if I were to retire, let's imagine for a moment being retired. How does that feel? Right? And then like just forget about the details of working out how to get there. Just spend 15 minutes a day journaling and feeling how it would feel to be retired, and then allow like your path to unfold, right? And this again, some people take this stuff and they think that it's mumbo jumbo, but I'm like, we know that we only use a fraction of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We know that that's a science, that's a fact that we can document. And so I'm saying what feeling does is allow you to reach into the subconscious infinite mind and pull out stuff that you've been overlooking, because there's no difference between me, you, and a billionaire. No difference physiologically, whatever the word is, that big word. There's no difference other than like their capacity to use their mind around wealth better than me and you in the current moment. But we can access it.
Was the word physiologically?
That's the word. Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Nice. That's a good word.
Big word. You got to put it up on the screen phonetically for me to be able to say it again.
I'll do that. I'll put that up on the screen. Now, if someone wanted a physiological conversation with the Phillip Washington Jr., how can they reach out to you?
Best way, wealthbuildingmadesimple.us. That's wealthbuildingmadesimple.us.
That is another 10-minute nugget of information. Well, because we talked about double cheeseburger day, we went a little over time, but that's all right. Folks, if you're taking your 10-minute break, it's time to get back to work. And Phillip Washington Jr., we do this every Friday. Let's do it again next week.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
We appreciate you listening to the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. By the way, if you own a business and you are interested in being a part of the Consumer Advice Series, if you have the knowledge to give information in 10-minute increments to the consumers, shoot me an email to info@aboutmansfield.com. Again, that is info@aboutmansfield.com. We'll tell you how we can get you all set up. Appreciate it. We do it again next week right here on the podcast.